So we've been working on using virtual reality to reconstruct essentially a lost building. So the Chapel Royal at Linlithgow Palace, which now currently has no roof, no ceiling, no windows, and is really very, very ruinous. We've been using virtual reality to try and reconstruct what the building once looked like, the interior design. It's acoustic as well, and then to drop historically informed performance into that so that people visiting the space can sort of walk around within that and see what music would have sounded like within that acoustic and sort of enjoy that audio-visual interaction as well of the sights and sounds coming together. I think a lot more people have heard the kind of music that I'm interested in. A really important aspect of the work was to try and get across this sense that Scotland in the past did have a cultural heritage. There's a lot of historiographical narratives which suggest that it didn't, that are often sort of related to the reception of James VI and First as he sort of came down from Scotland into England, and that seems to have permeated into a lot of academic but also non-academic discourse. You also have that issue, of course, what we call historiophagy, so sort of the way that history is told on film, which is Scotland has a lot of castles, which is great, but most of them are ruined. It becomes a really important filming location for a lot of things, but it leads to people thinking that sort of Scotland was always ruined castles and that for some reason kings and queens sat around in a ruin rather than in this magnificent space. So a lot of our work, I think, has been trying to show that no, there was really high quality music, really high quality art, high quality architecture. This stuff did exist, and people can hear that now. The CD project that we did through this as well, it reached number 2 in the charts, which was great, and it's a really nice opportunity to get some of this music out there to an audience that probably wouldn't have heard it very much. And I think we were also able to make some important points about some of the acoustic aspects of the music. So our CD and indeed our virtual reality experience sounds quite different to what most CDs do. It's far less sort of boomy and echoing, and we think that's a much more accurate representation of what this music would have sounded like when it was written. So I think hopefully that will also start to have a bit of an impact on how other groups record music and perhaps how we listen to it as well. Perhaps actually the most significant one was entirely unintended, which is that the week that we were meant to put our virtual reality headsets into Linlithgow Palace was the week that the country shut down for COVID. And the palace has not reopened, essentially. So during COVID, there was some structural surveys done which discovered various issues that needed to be fixed, and currently you can't actually get onto the site, except for you can through our virtual reality experience, which now sits proudly on the big closed gates at the front via QR code. So it's quite nice at the moment as you walk around the peel that the palace sits on, where you can hear the Vashwa consort's music coming out of people's phones as they walk past. And you can see that people are able, in a sense, to step into the currently closed site and enjoy that. So I think that's actually been a really important way of allowing us to have people still able to access these really important cultural spaces. I suppose other things, I'd like to think that we've maybe changed public perception to a degree about the quality or indeed the very fact of the existence of Scottish pre-Reformation music, and indeed get the sense that these buildings were not always drafty ruins, but once contained cultural artifacts that were really magnificent and important. So we're looking to do a lot more work in this area, and I'm involved on another EU-funded bid starting next year that will be looking to use this kind of technology with different repertoires, different areas, and I suppose different kind of processors. But I think one of the things that's been really useful of doing this KAI work has been that we've been quite focused on user experience and how people have received what we've done and how that works within a heritage context. And that's been quite important, I think, for framing the kind of work that we want to do going forward. We got more of a sense of how the technology works for people. Certainly it's changed what we were doing when we were thinking of this as a piece of research software. a lot of the way that we use the technology were just fundamentally unusable once we tried to put that into the hands of users. So I think that's been a really interesting process, and it does feel like it's quite a reciprocal thing. I think the sort of user feedback and continuous testing will change the kind of project that we do going forward. So yeah, in a way, the sort of impact has become research in itself, which has been quite interesting.